Now, I am joined by some unscripted television heavy hitters, okay? Our first panelist is executive producer and creator of Love and Marriage franchise and Bell Collective, the king of reality TV, Carlos King. Hey, Carlos.
How's it going?
Our next panelist is Melody Shari, CEO, beauty entrepreneur, and cast member of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Hey, Gray. Married couple Ashley and DJ Quicksilver, cast members of Love and Marriage DC.
Hello.
Hi.
Our new name is the Sexy Silvas. Sexy Silvas.
All right, up next we have Marie Absent, self-made millionaire. I know that's right. CEO and cast member of Bell Collective. Hey, Marie.
Hello.
And last but certainly not least, we have TAMBRA, radio and television personality, CEO and cast member of Bell Collective.
Hi.
Hi. Now, these are some absolute bosses who aren't afraid to showcase their wins and obstacles in front of the camera. So let's get into it, y'all. Now, Carlos, the Oprah Winfrey Network implemented an unprecedented, unscripted primetime block on Fridays and Saturdays. Now, as the king of reality TV, how did you know this will work well?
Well, what's interesting is I take pleasure in working with Black professionals and making sure that they have a elevated story that I feel is relatable to a wide audience. So, the funny story is, when I met Melody Martell, we were discussing projects together, and long story short, I'm like, you got some friends, Melody? Because I like you. You a star girl. Like, let's figure something out. And she introduced me to these amazing couples, and Love and Marriage was birthed out of that. And even with Bell Collective in Jackson, Mississippi, it was me meeting with this local 20-something-year-old man who was like, I know some people in Jackson, Mississippi who are some heavy hitters. And I'm like, let me meet the women. And I met them. And again, we have TAMBRA and Marie a part of that collective. And then obviously we have DC, which stars the Silvas as well. So the biggest thing for me is I grew up watching Oprah Winfrey, and she definitely changed the way I view the world. So I wanted to return that favor and provide some unscripted content to her network. And when we see how Love and Marriage is #1 on Saturday nights, and we see how Bell Collective is dominating Friday nights starting July 29th, it's been a fun treat to be able to display these beautiful Black professionals who also just have some very interesting things going on in their personal lives, and they have the confidence to be honest about it, which is what I love.
Yeah, I love that too. And I'm a fan of both franchises, and I'm really excited about today and to talk to you guys about that. Now, you touched a little bit on Love and Marriage DC. What made you expand the franchise to DC? I'm sorry.
Yeah, so what's funny is we always knew that Huntsville was a very special place in Alabama. And the beauty of Huntsville is the fact that they came swinging like some baseball players, able to take that to another level. And then, long story short, Monique Samuels, who was on Potomac Housewives, she left that show. She and I started to communicate. So when the conversation came about to expand a different city, I wanted to do something with her already. And when she introduced me to the Silvas and the Tylers, I was like, oh, the Chocolate City is very unique and interesting. And you see the feedback that we get from people watching DC. And the beauty of it is, Huntsville and DC are very different shows, very unique on its own, pun intended. But it's two shows that displays Black excellence at the forefront, in addition to the fact that all of these couples have something unique going on in their personal lives. And, when you look at someone like Ashley Silva, who again, just came out the gate too swinging, we knew that we had something special.
I love that. Now, are there any other cities we can expect the franchise to head to?
I don't know. Listen, everybody wants me to do something in Atlanta, which is, I always felt like Atlanta was oversaturated. But if I get one more message about Atlanta, Nene Leakes, Portia, I would be a millionaire now if I had $1 for every time someone mentioned those women in that city. So I don't know, but the focus is making sure that Huntsville and DC shine the way that they are currently, and to continue putting all of my effort into those shows. And of course, Bell Collective too.
Okay, well, we'll keep that in the pocket. Now, Melody, OWN'S Love and Marriage franchise, has become a hit in its own right. Why do you believe the franchise is so successful in Huntsville?
You know, I feel that the franchise has been successful when it comes to Huntsville because it's one of those cities that hadn't been tapped into, right? So you heard Carlos talk about how he felt, you know, Atlanta is oversaturated. Well, who would have thought there would be a reality show in Alabama, right? So I think that it piquing the interest of people in terms of what's happening in Alabama, specifically Huntsville, that was one thing for sure. And then just the cast members being willing to be transparent and put everything out on the forefront. Like, I wouldn't have guessed that a phrase I used season 1 where you should have kept in the household, right? would continue on for so many seasons in terms of really what has been happening in my personal life, right? And so I think able to relate to that, being able to relate to different issues that truly occur when it comes to friendships, when it comes to, you know, growing and building businesses as an African American. I think all of those factors have played a part. And of course, having an amazing EP such as Carlos, that what we're giving is authenticity. You know, those are the things that have caused people to be able to relate to Love and Marriage Huntsville.
I love that. Now, do people stop you on the street and
yeah. It doesn't bother me. You know, it doesn't bother me. I enjoy connecting with people. And the fact that I have people, you know, sometimes who come up and they're in tears because my story is so relatable. And so I don't mind taking time, you know, to talk and even give words of encouragement in those moments for the women who do come up, because I've been so transparent, right? They feel comfortable being transparent with me. And so I look at it as purpose work.
Oh, I love that. Purpose work. That's a really good way to put it. Now, thank you, Melody, for that. Now, Bell Collective features Black women in boss positions. For those who aren't familiar with Bell Collective, let's take a look.
The Bells are back. Things have changed.
I am the new and improved Latrice Rogers. The only thing I needed was just a little
Damon and I are back together. Just opened Letitia Pearson Enterprise.
Let me reintroduce myself. I'm Marie Monroe.
This Bell right here got plenty of spice. Everybody want to be like So Gucci. Got the funniest, finest husband.
Living in America.
My name is Akeisha. I am the real queen of Jackson, Mississippi. I don't know if Akeisha is a woman of empowerment or if she's a woman who has to be empowered. Tasha and Damon are having an affair.
What do you think about bringing another baby into the family?
I'm at 0 on wanting to have a baby.
I need my wife home.
Tell me the truth. Is this your baby or not?
Now, we as women, at the end of the day, we gotta stick together.
Y'all are bosses.
I mean, they are bosses.
Y'all are bosses, honey.
Girl.
Bell Collective, new season, Friday, July 29th at 9, 8 central. Part of Real Drama Weekends on OWN.
Woo! What a trailer. We love Bell Collective. Now, Carlos, I want to ask you, what was like the thought process behind creating this show? I know you touched on it a little bit before, but it's a different show, which we all love as viewers. But when you were creating it, what were you kind of wanting to get out of that?
I wanted to show Black females who were self-made millionaires, who were entrepreneurs. You know, statistics show that Black women are the fastest growing entrepreneurs in the world. And I wanted to be able to showcase that to a wide audience. And again, when you think about a small town like Huntsville, think about Jackson, Mississippi, right? So that alone, I was intrigued. And then again, when I met these beautiful women who have all this spice and sass and interesting personal lives, I knew that we had something special, but I also knew that these women were going to inspire a group of young Black girls and women to be able to go after their dreams and start their businesses and follow their dreams. And again, the beauty of all the shows, you know, I do for OWN is the fact that all of my cast members are relatable. You know, you can have it's something Melody and I talked about. There's always, you know, purpose through pain. And not everybody has this perfect life. You know, just because you have all this money doesn't mean you're not going through issues that are relatable to the world. And one thing I always said about my cast, all of them, is they are so brave and courageous to get in front of the camera and talk about things they're going through. And to do that, knowing that you're going to have a small group of people on twitter.com judge you and throw shade and throw tomatoes and all that. But they also know that there's going to be millions of people who are going to root for them. And I'm happy to know that everybody that comes through Kingdom Reign are able to say they have that experience of being entrepreneurs and making money, you know, based on the businesses that they have.
Yes, that's so true. I love that. Now, Tambra and Marie, why was this show so important for you to be a part of?
You can go first, Tambra.
Okay, well, for me, I think it was super important because I'm actually born and raised in Jackson. So I love breaking those stereotypes, to be honest with you. Like, that was a big deal for me, is breaking those stereotypes. And Carlos provided a platform so people can actually see that. We talk about cities. You don't think of Jackson and Huntsville. Like, that's what I love about Carlos. He took a chance. Chances make champions. And as you see, this is what we have right here. So that's what I love about it. So it was important for me. And I always believe every platform has a purpose. So that's what's important for me as well. So, and I learned that in season 1, that it definitely provided a purpose. And then just breaking the stereotypes. When you think about Mississippi, because I'm quite sure everybody has always had a stereotype, but there is so much talent and Black business people and Black women and amazing entrepreneurs right here in Jackson. So that was important for me, for people to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was important for me to share my story, to be able to inspire other women, other young girls who may have been that teenage mom or that young girl who mom wasn't present, balancing, you know, building a successful business for, you know, over 25 years, balancing children, being married, navigating the depth of my divorce, you know, so many other different, you know, scandals. I'm very relatable when it comes to pretty much every aspect of life. So it was important for me to be able to share my story to inspire that next woman. Hey, in spite of your circumstances, regardless of whatever it is that you're going through, you can accomplish and achieve whatever you know, put your mind and your heart to. And with that, and first, with God, all things are possible. So, you know, that was important for me to be able to just, you know, share with other women, you know, who can relate to me and the things that, everything that I go through and everything that I experience don't make TV. It's just so much. So from any topic, I'm relatable.
Now, how have you been able to leverage your success on the show while pursuing other endeavors?
You know, I just, you know, I show up, I'm very transparent. Whatever's going on in my life at that particular time, that's what I discuss and that's what I talk about. It's authentic. You know, it's just so many different moving parts in my life. You know, a lot of times entrepreneurs, you know, with entrepreneurs, people see the glitz and the glam, but behind all of that, there are challenges. There are ups, there are ups and there are downs, you know, there are struggles, you know, in the household and, you know, in your personal life, dealing with children, spouses, you know, it's just so many different things that occur, you know, when you have so many different things going on in your life. You know, I just show up and share whatever's going on in my life at that particular time.
Melody, same question for you. How have you been able to leverage your success in the show while also pursuing other endeavors?
Absolutely. I would say for anyone who's interested in, you know, being in reality TV, to make sure that they seize the moment, right? Use that opportunity in terms of being in front of hundreds of thousands or millions of viewers every weekend to really go after any other endeavors that you wanted to go after, making sure that it does align with your brand. I can say that I'm very particular when it comes to, there's the Melody Shari brand that is the entertainment, and then there's the Melody Shari brand that's the businesswoman entrepreneur, right? And so for me, I have made sure to make sure that those things line up and they match. So I've been able to, create several new businesses. Of course, I started over because I went through a divorce. So for me, I had to pick up the pieces and begin anew, right? So I have a master class that I've, created. I've had over 500 students go through my course since June of 2020, mostly African-American women. And I am giving them the tools to be in a multi-billion-dollar industry that's been white male dominated for years. I've recently launched my skincare line, right? That has been doing phenomenally well, already on the road of being $1 million business. And I just launched it in February. I've been able to create a God Said Go merch line. I've been able to embark on my music career and have songs chart #1. So I would say that, again, anyone who's getting into reality TV, to just make sure that, you also focus on that entrepreneurial piece of you and creating businesses to create legacy and create generational wealth outside of just the reality TV realm.
Yes, that's so true. Now,
that was great. I'm sorry, Ty. I had to. Woo, Lord Jesus. My bad, girl. I had to do a praise dance.
It's okay. Tamra, this question is for you. So what are the biggest misconceptions about being on reality TV?
The biggest misconception?
Yes.
Well, for me, I think the biggest misconception is that people think that even though it's reality, they still think it's scripted, and it's not. Like, that's what I get. They're like, is that really true? Did that really happen? Like, they still think that it's scripted or somebody's feeding us. And that's not really true. That's not true at all. We're talking, like, we're amongst each other off the dome, okay? So I think that's still the biggest misconception. I get that question a lot. Like, that's not true. Did they tell you? Like, no, and it's not. Like, we are really sitting, when we're getting together, we're really getting together and talking. And this is what I do love, is because it actually provides this platform that we're on. It gets you out of your comfort zone. It forces you to, even at this table when we're talking to people, it forces you to talk about things that you're uncomfortable talking about. Right. It takes you out of your comfort zone, which is what I love about it, because we all know nothing grows in your comfort zone. So this forces us to grow. And it at the same time, and people don't think about it like that, but that's one of the reasons I love it, because it forces you to grow.
Yeah, that's so true. Especially living your life in front of the camera like that, it's putting you in a different space. Yeah. So that you made really good points there. Carlos, the same question for you. What do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are about being on reality TV?
Well, I definitely think it's what Tambra said, is the scripted element. And that's very interesting, Tambra, you brought that up, because I always tell people the purpose of the producers, because they're always like, what are they doing? Are they feeding you lines? It's like, no, we're making sure that you are telling your authentic story. And sometimes you may want to delay that a couple of months or a couple of years, but we ain't got that luxury on this show. So we need to talk about it within a day or two. And you are sort of like in this uncomfortable situation where you have to confront people or confront an issue, because damn, the crew got to leave at 9 o'clock. So let me get this out at 7, child. so that by 9 o'clock, I can go home. So that is very interesting. And that is why people think it's scripted, but it's not. We have to organize things to happen. And I think the other thing for me bothers me, that people think when a Black woman raises her voice, she's ratchet, or, they don't get the same sort of grace as their white female counterparts. And that truly, seriously bothers me, because there's nothing ratchet about any of the shows that we're talking about today. You heard from Melody talking about millions of women who come to her saying, you changed my life, or, oh my God, you're going through this, I'm inspired. I know in Bell Collective, last year or the year before that, they sponsored the scholarship so that these Black girls in the school were able to follow their dreams. There's nothing ratchet about that. So I think the biggest misconception is the fact that Black people aren't able to have an issue, go through a dramatic situation without it being labeled that. And I look at my own life. Child, I have 9 siblings and I got some crazy friends and I cuss them all out. But it doesn't make me a ratchet person. It just makes me, you know, human. And I think the beauty of these shows is you're seeing the human side of people.
Yes, I agree. Now, in the process of filming, is there any point where there's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that? Is there anything that's like off limits, or it's like, hey, this is a reality show, let's show the reality?
Not with Carlos. Not with Carlos.
You have to talk about everything.
I know firsthand. Not with Carlos. Not with King Dwayne.
Melody, what were you saying, Melody?
I will say that she's right, but I will say one thing that I respect about Carlos a lot. You know, we're 4 or 5 seasons in at this point since 2018. One thing I can say I respected about him is when it comes to the children, right? If there's something that we don't want to, you know, a conversation we don't want to have, or if it involves the kids, Carlos is like, hey, okay, nope, we're not doing it. You know what I mean? And I appreciate that, you know, as a producer, him understanding, I know we're here to catch reality, but there are some things that are super, super sensitive, and that ain't what we're trying to do. You know what I'm saying? So I've always respected and appreciated that.
I love that.
Yeah.
Now, Marie,
I
also
had kids yet, Melanie. I had a luxury yet, Melanie. I had a luxury.
When you have, right, Tamara, when you have kids, we'll talk about that big off limits. But other than that, no, I'm teasing. But it's funny because one thing I will say, when it's something truly like sensitive, right? The ladies know they'll come to me, and the beauty of my relationship with the ladies is the fact that at the end of the day, we're not here to expose anybody. Like, if anything, is what, like I said, it's more so growing through the process. But yeah, everything's a conversation.
Yeah. Now, speaking of growing through the process, Marie, how has this process been for you being in front of the camera on reality TV? You do talk about, you know, being from Mississippi, and now you're in front of the camera, you out in the city. How's that been for you now that you've been on the Collective?
It's very, you know, especially in the beginning, it was very challenging. Here it is, you know, this woman, this rich multi-million-dollar business owner, you know, makes grand interest on TV, and people were like, who is this woman? Who are you? You know what I'm saying? You know, thinking that, you know, my businesses that are not legit, I just made up these businesses and popped up on TV, you know, and them not knowing, you know, I've been in business, I've been an entrepreneur for 25 years. You know, I'm very successful. You know, it took years, a lot of hard work for me to make millions of dollars. You know, I have a healthcare empire, you know, a one-stop shop. You know, if I'm not making millions and I've been in business in healthcare over 15 years, then I failed myself. I need to go back to the drawing board and redo some things. So I should be successful. But then, you know, you have me over here. I have the same certifications and credentials as, and I don't mean no harm, as a white woman. She's worthy and deserving of her credentials. She's legit. But here it is, I'm a Black woman on a private community mental health center in the state of Mississippi, then I'm not legit. I'm a fraud. I have to be doing something unethical. You see what I'm saying? Why I can't be winning legitimately? Why I can't be a successful businesswoman legitimately? You see what I'm saying? So it's just, instead of saying, you know, hey, Black woman, you know, hats off to you. You're doing a great job. You're making a difference in the community. You're giving back. You're helping. You're inspiring. You know, you're doing all these amazing things. What can I do to become a mental health provider? What can I do to become a home care provider? What can I do to become a medical supplier? What can I do to open up an opiate treatment program in the state of Mississippi? You know, I'm the first Black woman in the state to own an opiate treatment program. Well, in California, there may be 200 out there, but in Mississippi, there were only 3. So to accomplish something so rewarding and, you know, a much needed service is, you know, I'm at a loss for words. I'm so thankful But it's been challenging being in reality TV in Mississippi. You know, your love, it don't come from your home state. It comes from all the other states. It's a lot of hate. You know, it's no love in your home state, not for me. And being successful at the level that I am, the rate that I'm going, I'm growing so rapidly. You know, sometimes it's hard for me to believe. So, you know, it's challenging. Yeah. But, you know, hey, as long as I can inspire at least one woman, then I'm happy with that, you know?
Now, with that being said, because you have all these businesses, were you at any point like apprehensive about coming on reality TV?
Well, when my decision to do reality TV was to inspire the next young girl or the next woman to let her know, hey, you can be successful in spite of your circumstances, in spite of whatever it is you're going through, you can achieve whatever it is that you set your heart to, whether that's being in corporate America, 8 to 5, or an entrepreneur. You can do it. So my goal was to do reality TV to inspire the next woman that, hey, you can own all these different businesses and make millions of dollars too. I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, it's been peaches and cream. It takes a lot of hard work to make millions of dollars. That's why God bless only certain people with that type of volume, because not everybody can handle it. If you have a problem, it's not a small problem. It's a huge problem if you have a problem when you're making that type of money. And then you know, and for me, I have to have different auditing firms in place. That's all they do for me is straight auditing every day around the clock on the medical side, on the financial side, and on the compliance side. I have that in place just for, you know, people hate. They want to sit up and, you know, call the government, oh, she's fraud, and have me spending out $50,000 to legal fees to prove this ain't nothing. You see what I'm saying? So it's a lot being in reality TV and the scrutiny, you know, the hate. It's unreal. When you're successful and you really, really have it, you're under huge attack. You know, it's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
So my goal is to do reality TV to inspire the next woman, not to, you know, my business is my brand. It's already established. It's already built now. Yes, true. Being on reality TV has brought more opportunities. It really have opened up a lot of doors. And just to be quite frank about it, like one of my clinics, I'm opening up, the goal is 20. I'm doing 5 right now. One of them I inherited just because of my, you know, me being on reality TV. And I'm thankful for that. I'm great. No, it's been challenging. You know, the scandals, the scrutiny, I have been under huge attack. And, you know, at times I've been like, you know, do I want to do this? You know? But at the end of the day, you know, if I stop, so, you know, I'm doing what God called me to do, to inspire and to at least be able to transform lives and help the next woman. So that's what it's about for me. Not about the money or the fame. I don't care, you know, and I'm just being honest. I'm very transparent. I don't care about, you know, the appearances, the interviews and all of that. My goal is to give back and inspire. I love serving people and helping. And I'm in school. So I'm balancing a lot, you know, I'm in school and, you know, I'm trying to navigate from, you know, the death of my divorce, children. I have 4 kids, 3 grandkids, and, you know, running all these different businesses. It's a lot. So everything that you see on TV when it comes to my life is very much so is real and it's happening. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your transparency. This is a great conversation, but I do want to take a quick pause to remind you that on Saturday, July 16th, the Micheaux Film Festival will feature Ernest Dickinson in a career spotlight moderated by fellow honoree Brenda Gilbert of Bronx Studios. Now, this will take place at the Regal Cinemas at LA Live at 4 p.m. Prior to that talkback, the festival will screen his latest film, Double Play, at 2 p.m. So get your tickets now to reserve your seat. Speaking of Saturday, you can catch a new episode of OWN'S Love and Marriage DC every Saturday. Now take a look at what's to come this season.
I'm always trying to pull some more depth out of you.
You're not going to tell it?
Can I?
Go ahead.
All right, well, hush. Now she just sat down.
You've been complaining that I work a little too much. But Silva show.
I miss my marriage.
Just because you don't know him to be cheating doesn't mean he's not cheating. You sound like you're sticking your head in the sand, fam.
Winter, how did you become a relationship specialist? You got one divorce and one scammer.
Love and Marriage DC, Saturday at 9/8 Central. Part of Real Drama Weekends on OWN.
Welcome back to the Micheaux Film Festival digital panel, OWN'S Unscripted Takeover. I am joined by creator of and cast of Love and Marriage franchise and Bell Collective. Now, the Love and Marriage franchise showcases Black love in a very raw and real way. Why do you think, Carlos, that this was important for OWN to showcase?
Well, I think OWN is the destination for Black love and all things Black excellence. So to be able to provide, a nice Friday and Saturday sit down conversation as you're watching the TV shows is something that I think the audience definitely needed. So when Love and Marriage Huntsville became this big unscripted hit out of nowhere, because again, we were like the little inches that could. It was like Melody said, it was like, oh, they're in Huntsville. I don't know about this. And then to me, and I'm curious what Melody thinks, but to me, I think a lot of people were surprised by how transparent they were about their relationships and their marriages. And I will go on record saying that show brought men to watching reality TV, because when I get stopped at the Target in aisle 13 buying Tupperware, what's interesting is how husbands come to me and say, yo, man, you know what I'm saying? You got me watching this show with my wife, and it's good. So what's interesting is it allows couples to watch these shows together and to have these conversations of, would I do this? Would I do that? So when you watch Bell Collective, Love and Marriage Huntsville in DC, it truly is bringing back couples watching unscripted shows together so that they're able to have these very intense, real, open and honest conversations about what they're going through. And I think that's just beautiful.
It is, and it's really creating a lot of dialogue too, especially in the home and online. Now, Melody, do you ever regret putting your life out there for all of us to see?
I don't at all. Whenever I decided to, do the show, I knew from the get-go that if I was going to do it, I was going to be transparent, right? Did I think when I started that it would end with me being divorced? Absolutely not, right? All marriages do go through things, and I did think that was something that we would, get over, get past, but that wasn't the way it happened, and that's fine too. So I don't regret it because, again, when I think about purpose work and the number of women who I meet who are in my DMs and I'm getting, messages from, I'm getting to interact with them, and I'm hearing and seeing how my transparency is helping them through their situation. There are women who are being emotionally abused, physically abused, who are in marriages where they're afraid to leave because they have children, and they're looking at me and my story, and they're seeing how I walked away when my youngest child was only 3 months, and they're feeling like, wow, if you can do it, then so can I. And so I in no way regret at all choosing to be real on a reality TV show. Just to piggyback off of something, what Carlos just said, I too, of course, get men who come up and they watch the show as well. Like Carlos said, with their wives, it's a big conversation topic for the weekend most of the time. I think that for a long time, women were at the forefront of reality TV. When you thought of reality TV, you thought mostly of just seeing and hearing the stories of women. Love and Marriage Huntsville, when it came in straight out the gate, period, it was one of those situations to where the men and the women equally, right, were giving camera time and expressing their feelings and being able to be honest and transparent and have these real conversations equally. And I think that that is one of the things that has made the franchise just really, a leader in the game, to be honest with you, in terms of all reality TV, because it gave also the men a platform and an opportunity to express themselves just as the women do. So that's kind of the difference for sure.
I love that. Now, Ashley and DJ Quicksilver, has anything on screen affected your life off screen, positively or negatively?
Okay, we just want to say sorry. We shouldn't have been talking about weather earlier. We just got like some big storm that has knocked everything out.
We have no power in our whole house.
Yeah, so but
we're about reality happening.
Right? Exactly. Reality of the reality, okay?
Yeah, literally on my cell phone because all the power, all the internet, and the whole entire neighborhood is out.
Right, and it's like getting dark outside. But anyway, what was the question?
Right,
sorry. No, it's okay. No, it's okay. You guys have, it's okay. I'm glad you guys are okay. Has anything on screen affected your life off screen, positively or negatively?
For us, no, not really. Like, I mean, for the most part, one of the things about coming into this, of course, Monique was already a reality star, but in our area, we are already, somewhat of like local celebrities. Quick has been on the air now 20 years between DC and Baltimore. I've had a blog. I don't like to say socialite, but I go to the parties, girl. I'm everywhere. So for the most part, we've dealt with. I think the main thing that comes with reality TV now is like people thinking they know your life, your entire life,
right?
Based on watching a 42-minute show that's split up over 3 couples, friends of the show, all of this stuff, and it's like you see me on screen for maybe 12 minutes, and my entire life. So that's just been the only thing, people really thinking they know every single thing about me. Oh, she breathed this way when he said that. So that must mean their marriage is on the rocks.
We actually seen that real comment.
I mean, literally, I said, on one episode, I said, I don't know who I would be if something happened so quick. We were talking about the multiple car accidents he's been in. And this lady just kept going in on me that I need to find myself and know who I am. And I'm like, if your best friend of 20 years passed, I'm sure you would probably feel that way too. So, okay. But like, I think that those are just the biggest adjustments, like people thinking they know everything, that they can say whatever they want, that, they want to take something that you said for 5 seconds and run with it for 6 months. And now you're the scum of the earth because you've done this or said this. And it's like, yes, because you've never said or done anything that someone can take offense to. So that's just been the only thing.
Sheesh.
Now, you brought up an interesting point. So as reality stars, your real life becomes entertainment for others. How do you handle the comments and criticisms that may come your way? Anyone can answer this.
I'm gonna jump in first. I completely ignore it. And like I said, I've been, and I hate to use the word spotlight, I've been radio TV for 20 plus years. So we're used to the scrutiny that comes with being public figures, as you say. But what I always say, and I feel like I say this so much on the show, I always say reality TV and social media, they don't break up strong relationships. They simply expose weak ones. If your relationship is weak and you get on TV, it's going to come out. If your relationship is strong, I know how to scroll. So like, I see the negative things. We see a lot of positive, by the way, but we see the 1 or 2 negative things. I always tell Ashley, and this is something that I'm hoping she's working on. I tell Ashley all the time, if 100 people says they say they love you, and 10 say they'll go away.
I ignore.
She ignores 6 of them.
If it's 10 of them, 2 of them gonna get it.
And that's the difference for me. I know who I am in real life. Like, I'm good. I'm so good in real life that social media doesn't bother me. And we were just talking about this before we came on here. I said, I honestly wish sometimes that social media would go away. That's why I started the hashtag in real life. So many people live. I saw said something about the Silvas, and I think somebody replied, how do you know? And the person, their reply was, because I saw it on Twitter and it trended. I'm like, oh my God. Like, but this is the generation of people that believe if I saw it on Twitter and God forbid it makes the blog, or it's the Bible. Carlos King, it's the Bible.
I mean, I've heard so much stuff about myself, like stuff I didn't even know about. I mean, ruthless, like it's crazy.
But it was on Twitter, so it has to be real. I have 2 thumbs when I typed it. It's real.
Now, Twitter is a good place to topic.
Oh, you know what? I got off of Twitter probably about 6-7 years ago, and I never got back on. I like Instagram. Give me the fake and phony of Instagram and editing pictures and filters. Because on Twitter, like these mother effers think that they know everything. They so mean. I'm like, I will punch you in your face. See, but then I think what they've quickly learned about me is that you say whatever you want to say about me. I'm gonna look at your profile picture, and the same way you have made this whole thing about my life, now I know everything about you too. And I'm gonna chump you down the sides. You're gonna feel this big after you're done with me.
Can I shout out to Mike Tyson? Because Mike Tyson said something on Instagram maybe a few years ago, and it's so real. He said, I hate social media. And they said, why, Mike? He said, because it's made people comfortable saying what they want to say and not get punched in the mouth. So not saying we want to beat anybody up, but this is so true. I remember recently, there was somebody that was just trolling me like on Instagram forever, on the Twitter, and I ignored. I don't care. But then I seen the person in real life, and they asked for a picture, and I wanted to be like, so you're a fan. But me, I say, you know what? I'm gonna be the bigger man. My life is amazing. I'm great. My skin is glowing. I'm not gonna sit here and go back and forth with this person who's been tweeting me for 6 months about how much they hate me when they see me. Then you see me and say, oh my God, Quicksilver, take a picture with me.
Twitter is a scary place.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, on a positive note, what's been your favorite part about being on TV?
Who did she say?
I do love, I'm a pretty open person as it is. And I think Melody was saying something very similar. Just when people come up to us and want to talk about their story and talk about things that, you know, we've shared and stuff. I shared on one of the recent episodes that I suffer with depression. It's something that a lot of people deal with in silence. And a lot of times they think that depression has a look or a social class or whatever. And it really doesn't. It affects everybody. And, you know, I get so many people who either DM me or when I see them out, they're like, I'm so happy you're talking about this because I would have never guessed it, you know, and now I can help move them in a positive direction in whatever they're balancing. So I love that part.
And if I can piggyback for a second what Ashley just said, I think that's what I love most about, and shout out to Carlos King once again, because when he first came to us, I shot it down. I was like, absolutely not. Reality TV is messy. I watched Huntsville one episode. Absolutely not. We want no parts to do. This is what I really said, right? But after being on this show, and I remember Carlos saying, quick, look, we're not in this business. I'm not going to throw shade at anybody. We're not in the business of just scandal and mess. Like that's not who we are. And if you're not doing anything, you have nothing to worry about, which I said, great. So with that being said, I love that I agreed to do it. We agreed to do it. And now that it really has been the exact opposite of what I thought reality TV was. I've never watched reality TV, and I'm like,
Quick loves it. Quick loves being a reality star.
So I love it. I love it not because of the popularity portion. I love it because what Ashley just said. She suffers from depression. I've been through a lot in my life, and then you watch this season. I've lost both parents. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I've been in the street. Like I've been through a lot. That a lot of my supporters, I never say fans. A lot of my supporters have listened to the radio for 20 years. They now see me and be like, quick, I had no idea with you and your brothers at the grave and you breaking down crying. Like, I've never publicly cried in my life. I've cried like 3 times in my life, and once was on TV. So like, I didn't even cry at my mom and dad's funeral. Like, and these are things that a lot of men were taught. And the fact that I'm now on TV talking about this, it's opened up the conversation for men to realize crying doesn't mean that you're weak. Depression doesn't mean that you're crazy. And these are things that this show has really helped us open up a lot more about. So shout out to Carlos. Thanks, Carlos.
Shout out to Carlos and transparency. We always love to see that too. It really helps, people watching the show because they feel like they can relate to you or they're not alone. So that's always a blessing. But before we wrap, we'll open up the chat for audience questions. But first, I have one more question for Carlos. You also host a late night wrap-up show on OWN, the Nightcap with Carlos King. Let's take a quick look.
Welcome to the Nightcap, the party of after party. Yes! Melody Ho!
The least relevant person on the show.
Oh my God! Monique Samuel.
You're miserable. You don't know how to dress. You can't keep a man.
Wait, hold up.
My baby's father be in my DM.
Reality TV!
Come on, Nightcap with Carlos.
The king.
Now, Carlos, what can you tell us about this new show?
So the Nightcap with Carlos King love letter to the Love and Marriage franchise fans, the collective fans, and all the fans of reality television. It's fun, it's messy, it's juicy. It gets my cast in trouble with their castmates. But you know, because I asked the question.
We good over here.
I'm teasing, but the beauty of the show, honestly, is, you know, I don't take for granted that people choose to stay home on a Friday and Saturday night to watch television, right? So after you watch our shows, to be able to know you get to have this interactive moment with my audience and my cast, where we get to recap that nice episode. We get to talk about funny, juicy stuff. And the beauty of it, honestly, is the fact that it also shows the connection that I have with my cast. Like, I do think a lot of people assume like, oh my gosh, Carlos this, Carlos that. And the beauty of the Nightcap with Carlos King is I love all of them. They love me. We have a good time because, you know, look, we don't take all of this so seriously in the sense of we're having fun. Do you know what I mean? Like, the show is meant to be fun. It's meant to be silly and messy and juicy. And the moment you walk through that curtain, because they've all been on it, the moment you walk through the curtain, something happens to where you say some of the silliest things, even me. Like, I don't have a script. My guests don't have a script. We really do just talk mess, and it's just been fun. It's really been a fun time.
It sounds like a good old kiki. Well, I'm going to take some questions from the audience before we wrap. So the first question is from Brianna, from Melody. It said, you've been so open about your marriage and relationship and never stopped being a boss during all that you were going through. What kept you motivated during hard times?
The biggest thing that definitely has kept me motivated is the fact that I have 4 beautiful children who are, and 3 which are girls, you know. And so it's been important to me to show them what strength looks like, to show them what perseverance looks like. And, you know, because of that, failure has not been an option, and it's not an option. So my motivation for the most part definitely lies in my 4 babies.
I love that. Now, this is a question from Ty. Ashley and Quick, what are the keys to maintaining a healthy relationship when you're in the spotlight?
Just in general, not even in the spotlight. I always say to be friends. You know, Quick and I are friends first. We're not like brother and sister like somebody else on our show said.
Oh, man, don't shade on this. Come on, Carlos.
But no, we really are friends. Like, we can argue, we can go through difficult times. But at the end of the day, me and Quick laugh and joke. And sometimes we're the only one that get the joke. And sometimes he's the only one that can say the most crazy, shady thing to get it out. And, you know, friendship is the top tier of our relationship. You know, you can love somebody all day long, but if you don't like them, you are not going to be able to wake up and see them every day, year after year, day after day. It's not going to happen.
A lot of people are unhappily married, but they stay in a relationship for the wrong reason. They stay in it because of business, because of kids, because of whatever, because they're afraid of public opinion. And that's just not us. Like I said, we really are friends. She said something on one of the episodes, and I think they thought that she was mad at me about something. And she was like, Quick, that's my guy. But that's how we thought, like, that's my guy. Like, this my little boo. Like, this my baby. But one thing that she's taught me, and once again, if you watch the Love and Marriage DC, I think I said this on the show as well. We've never given up on each other at the exact same time.
We've given up on each other.
We've given up on each other. There's been times where I said, I'm out of here, gone.
There's never a time he's ever said that.
I ain't say it
like that.
But seriously, like,
he might try to tiptoe out the door.
In relationships, and anybody who's married, it's a roller coaster. It's up and here, it's up and down, up and down. It's not always great. Business might not always be great. Whatever you're going through in your life might not always be so, high key, whatever. But we've never, ever said F this together. There's been times where I did something, she did something, nothing bad, but like we went on the same page mentally at that, but we never said at the same time we're done, because if so, we would have been done.
Yeah. That's good. Now, this comment is from Ashley. Carlos, I followed you since Real Housewives. I'm glad you've been able to bring great unscripted content to OWN. What advice do you have for someone who wants to create a reality TV show?
Good question.
Well, that's the thing. You have to really think outside the box and do something that's missing on television, right? So when you think about love and marriage, and Melody brought this up, a minute ago, women were always at the forefront of reality TV. And The Real Housewives is a show I've done for 8 years where it was all about the women all the time. And when I became the first Black male executive producer of that franchise, it was purposeful that I wanted to bring the men to the forefront because in the life that I live, I come from a 2-parent household. So I know that my father has an opinion. He's just as nosy and he's just as whimsical. So I wanted to create something that really showcased that. Like, it's not always about the woman's point of view. Like, no, I want to hear from the guys too. I want to hear what they're going through. So that's a good example of something that was missing on television. And now you see a bunch of copycats. But that's not it.
There he is. Messy Carlos.
Now all of a sudden you see these couples in these dual interviews, and I wonder where they got that from.
Talk your stuff, Carlos. I talk myself. They say I'm bragging. Talk your stuff.
Well, this question is from Portia from Melody. What are your dieting and beauty tips? You keep getting finer and finer, girl.
Well, first of all, beauty tips. If you ain't got no 7th Avenue Career Skincare, honey, you better go order you some. Order you some skincare. I am blessed to have been able to work with a female Black chemist. She's been a chemist for over 18 years. We were able to come together and formulate these amazing products. Also using some things that my great-grandmother taught me as I was, growing up. And so I use my products, of course, but also dieting-wise, I'm very big on intermittent fasting. I don't like to eat after 6 p.m. Sometimes, of course, that doesn't work, but for the most part, I don't like to eat after 6, and then I typically won't eat again until like the next morning, maybe around 10 a.m. So intermittent fasting definitely works for me. And also when you eat, I eat small portions. I eat just for energy purpose. I don't eat to feel that I'm so full that I can't move and accomplish all the things I have to accomplish in a day, knowing that I do have a lot to do and I do have 4 children to run behind and keep up with. I eat small portions to make sure that I'm able to get things done that I need to get done, and I'm not feeling so weighed down because I've eaten super big meals all day.
Oh, that's good. I love intermittent fasting. This question is from Marie. What are 3 business core values that you never compromise
on? Integrity, ethics, so integrity, of course, ethics and morals. I'm not compromising those at all. No.
Pretty.
This last question is for TAMBRA. Does it ever concern you that viewers get emotionally invested in what they see on these shows?
Does it ever concern me that they get emotionally invested?
Yes, I'm sorry. This question was from Terry.
I would say yes, but to me, in a good way, I can honestly say that. Like, I'll be very honest. One of the biggest things from season 1 for me, I became an advocate for fibroids. I went to Congress advocating for a bill for fibroids for women across America. Like, that was huge. And I will say this, it actually happened. Honestly, it wasn't, that's what I say about unscripted. I literally told a producer that it was for another thing. I couldn't make it that day. I had a doctor's appointment. And the producer, being nosy, just said, what is your doctor appointment about? So it wasn't, it's just, they wanted to know. So that came about to me almost by accident, because I'm just like, well, actually I'm going because of this. And then that became, wow, this is a part of your story. And it was probably one of the biggest stories that allowed me to help millions of women because they were able to relate. And especially for me, as I've been in radio for years, I put that first. in a lot of sense. And we just talked about that. So I do believe people do get invested, but they get invested, for me, from a positive standpoint, something that they can relate to. And for me, that was probably one of the biggest things for season 1 for me. And that's huge.
It was so huge.
Someone else. That's huge.
Can I piggyback off of that? I don't know if you have time.
Sure, go ahead.
Kudos to her for that. And that's something that I wish that question was for us, because one thing that we talked a lot about.
They're frozen.
And I did that, the lights went out.
Well, you guys, this has been an amazing conversation. I'm so glad we got to spend a little time with the cast and creator of The Collector and Love and Marriage franchise. Be sure to look out for both shows on the Oprah Winfrey Network. I'd like to thank our amazing panelists, Carlos King, Melody Shari, Ashley and DJ Quicksilver, Marie Absent, and TAMBRA Shari for sharing their insight with us. If you missed any of this panel or just want to rewatch, the recording will be available in its entirety on the SparkFest site starting tomorrow. But don't go too far. At 5 p.m. Pacific, we are chatting with a few scripted and unscripted executives from Fremantle, Macro, Paramount, Color Creative, and more about making the transition from one genre to the other. This is information that I promise you do not want to miss. And remember, the Micheaux Film Festival's opening night is scheduled for Friday, July 15th at 7:45. with Robert Brujo's latest film, Delilah's Gone, featuring Stephen James, Oscar winner Marisa Tomei, and Paul Winterhauser. So RSVP today at MicheauxFilmFest.com. And make sure to follow the film festival on all media platforms at Micheaux Film Festival. Good night.
Good night.
Hi, everyone.
Bye.